Going to go in 3, 2, 1. Lions Lounge Lockdown, episode 76. I've completed the Stars and Stripes trio. Bruce Murray, how are you, mate?
Doing great, Dan. How are you?
I'm really excited about this. I love, no offense, we spoke before we started, the more obscure ones, the ones that at the time with no Sky Sports, no club website, no show reels on YouTube, no YouTube, that we would just sometimes maybe see a name in the club program, and we never ever got to find out about the player or the person really. And now obviously time has passed and we've got all those benefits to come back and speak to a lot of your ex-teammates and now you. Just absolutely brilliant.
I agree. I love it. I love walking down memory lane, especially my time in England.
Yeah, so you're from Maryland. I thought Maryland was in Georgia, but it's not. It's actually a state. I don't know why I thought that, but I looked it up just to check. I think pretty sure that's in Georgia, but it's actually its own state. It's not far from New York, not far from Philly. Is that right?
Hey, right. I'm just wondering what kind of geography they're teaching you.
Never my strong point, mate. Never my strong point. So what was it like growing up over there and eventually, paving a way to come to England?
It was great. And I'll start, like my dad and mom came over from Scotland, and my dad was a golf pro and he settled here and before he sent for my mom. And that's where we grew up here. Just born here by the grace of God. I mean, and we had a great upbringing. John Curr, a former Millwall player, as well as myself, were best mates coming through when we were about 7 years old. My dad knew John Sr., who was playing at Club America. So we went down to Mexico, and and John became an instant friend. And all throughout our high school, our youth years, we were always at each other's house. It was a sleepover every weekend. Our parents were allowed to beat each other's kids.
So from what age did you know John then? From what age were you when you first met him?
Years old when I knew John. And, we've had this incredible side-by-side career where we both won national championships in the college football, and we also won the Player of the Year in college football. We both played for the national team. We both played against England. We both, played professional soccer. Like it's bizarre that two best mates, just kids that were riding the bikes and running around in the street, ended up doing all this stuff together. I'm so blessed that John and I grew up together, and obviously we hung out with each other, and then we ended up together, which was crazy.
But it's not even as if you've ended up playing for example, a team up close to you. You've ended up on the other side of the water, playing for the same team in South London. That's absolutely crazy. So I'm taking it that John maybe had a part in you coming over.
He had mentioned, I think Mick, but Mick and I played against each other twice when he was in the Republic of Ireland. My career was a little bit. I made the national team was offering contracts to players, and we had a league here, but it wasn't paying anything. The national team afforded you a house, a car, and and putting money away, and it was, everyone that was on contract had a deal, and so that's for Mick and I knew each other. We played in New England against each other, and we played we played in Washington, D.C., a 1-1 tie in New England, and we beat the Republic 3-1 down here. Yeah, and also Casey Keller mentioned to Mick that I was going to be a free agent and available. So I ended up getting on a plane. I left the national team, the contract, and I started with Millwall, and the rest was history.
Only one season at Millwall, 93-94, which was the first season in the new ground, but lots happened. 3 goals, 12 games, and I've got one flying headbutt on David Holdsworth as well, which we'll get into. We may not be, but yeah, we'll get into that game shortly. But coming over, was you on trial at first? Let's try and.
I came over and landed. I stayed with John the first night, and John's like, come down. He was in Beckingham. and he said, just we're going to go down to this pub called the Lazy Toad in Beckenham, and I in, and there was like hundreds of people. It was packed, and he goes, meet some of your new teammates, or guys that you might become teammates. And so the next thing I know, they're doing a karaoke, and the karaoke guy says, "Well, will Bruce Murray please come up and sing 'Born in the USA'?" He stitched me up. So I got to go up there in front of 100, 200 people I've never met, and I'm like, Jesus. So you know what I did? I freaking belted it out. I just went.
Well, you run.
I was great.
Oh no! So when you said you belted out, I thought you said you run off, but you done it. You sung.
Belted it out. I sung my ass off, and
oh, that is brilliant. So obviously that's like your initiation.
Yes, that was my initiation, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's up for it. Okay, we'll have him." So I loved it.
It was a big squad at that point. Who were the guys that were? I mean, we've had, like I said, lots of your teammates on, lots of crazy characters, the likes of Pat Van Den Houw and Rhino, Ben Thatcher, the youngsters, Mark Beard, but also obviously yourself and Casey and John, and then E.T., Ian Bogie. Like, what was they like as a group?
Oh my God, what a great group it was. You throw Mark Kennedy in there as well, Casey Keller. We had it was a great synergy in the group. I mean, at the point we're talking about now, I'm on trial. And we go to Port Marnock and we start playing Irish teams all over Ireland. And it was like I don't want to say like 10 games, and I did quite well. I was scoring goals over there, and they ended up giving me a contract when I came home. But in terms of the players, the young guys, they kind of like looked up to you. They're like, oh my God, what's it like, being a U.S. international? You have to understand that the national team I played on, we played teams, and we also played countries. So I would play Poland, would also play AC Milan, Juventus. I mean, that's crazy. And we went all over the world. One week we were in Japan, the next week we were in the Soviet Union, then we were in Ecuador. I mean, it was insane the amount of travel that we were doing. But we had to. Bora Milutinovic was the coach, and we had to get games, and so we had to travel.
I know your international scoring record, 85 caps, 21 goals as well. Is that correct? It's just not bad at all. That
it is, and I always tell people all the time, like, for me. I understood international football. It was slower and more methodical. You know, obviously injuries played a little bit into my Millwall time, but the pace of the game, Dan, in the championship at that point of it was in the early 90s. It was 1,000 miles an hour. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. So it takes a while to try and acclimate to the pace, but the pace was unbelievable.
Yeah, I was going to say, like the transition between coming from where you are, not just the football, but also the country, like the difference. How old was you when you signed for Mill?
Oh, I was probably 27, 28.
Oh, you was okay. He wasn't that
older. Yeah, I was older.
Oh, okay. So, and that's the first time you'd ever gone abroad to play?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, though, I played abroad everywhere. And, I mean, I was playing. You're playing. So the international goals I scored were one thing, but then we played Sheffield Wednesday. We played Inter Milan. We played everybody. I
see a picture of you actually on your Facebook, and it's you with Glenn Hoddle.
Oh my God, I did play. I played against Glenn Hoddle when he was on the world team, but I also played against him in Los Angeles when he played for England. And they put out a team: Gary Lineker, a Kerry Dixon up top. I mean, you had Chris Waddle on the wing. My guy I had to mark outside fullback up the right side was Viv Anderson. I mean, you can't. I mean, this is a ridiculous England team. And so I played a lot of like high level football.
Of course, yeah.
So and then I got signed by Millwall, and I guess I was living with John at that point, and they were trying to get me sorted out. I ended up finally in Bromley, excuse me, Kings Avenue. I'll never forget that. A beautiful place. And yeah, just from there, we got on the coach, and before you know it, it was the first week, and I was on the bus when he told me. He said, "You're going to play," and I got a phone call at 7:30 in the morning, and it was unreal because it was a gentleman named Gordon Bradley, who's very famous. He was the head of the Cosmos, Washington Diplomats, but obviously Gordon Bradley is a very famous player in the English, stratosphere. Anyway, he called in the morning. He was friends with John's dad, and he called and he told me, he says, "I feel it. You're going to score a goal today," and I ended up scoring the winner on my debut.
Yeah, away at Stoke. But I just wanted to ask you before the Stoke game. So the stadium had just opened, hadn't it? The new stadium, and the first goal at the new Den was obviously scored by John Curr. Was you involved in that game against Sporting Lisbon?
I was. I got in as a sub. I think was it Benfica or Bobby Robson was the manager. It was
Sporting Lisbon, yeah.
And it was a full house. And
Yeah.
John got the game. I got some work as a sub that game. Yeah, it was amazing. For John to do that. Clinical finisher John was very very kind of a sniffer. He was always in the play, and he was a really good finisher. But injuries, I thought John, if it wasn't for injuries, John would have had a lot more success over there.
Yeah, it's funny you said earlier that you grew up together, did everything together. Now you're at the same club in a big squad as well with lots of strikers. Was you competing against John at this point for?
Oh yeah.
Or did you play alongside him? And what were the other strikers? I mean, I remember that John Goodman, Jamie Morley, amongst others.
I can't get my dogs are lost control here. Hold on one sec.
Yeah. And now, are you competing with him for a shirt in a big squad as well with a lot of other strikers?
Oh,
who were those strikers? Yeah.
Morley. I always knew that I was signed. Mick told me, he's like, you're going to be a backer, you're going to be a cover striker, But going into the opening weekend, John Goodman was out, Jamie Morley was there's a lot of guys out, and that's how I got in on that opening weekend. But we had Malcolm Allen, we had Dave Mitchell, we had Clive Allen at one point. I know that's crazy, but
yeah.
And it was great. I struck up a really good friendship with all the strikers, and Clive Allen was always asking me about America. You could tell he was dreaming to come to America. He always wanted, he was always asking me about America, and it was oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm having these conversations with Clive Allen. So it was a great experience.
It's crazy. I remember obviously Morley and John Goodman. You said Malcolm Allen, who played sort of just behind the strikers, but as well as Clive Allen, yourself, John Curr. How did he manage to keep you all happy as a squad? Because I think we had about a 40-man squad at that point. And in those days, I think, 2 subs? Yeah. How did he manage to keep you all happy?
Yeah, John said it best. Because I watched the interview you did with John. He was honest. He would come and say, "Hey, listen, you're going to play or you're not going to play, and here's why." Because I like Morley and John Goodman, with Mark Kennedy in the hole sometime. I mean, he told us, and he told you, and made you feel like you're part of the squad, because a lot of times managers just bosh people off and put them with the stiffs, and you lose interest, and it's anxiety ridden. I've seen hundreds of players where that happens, but Mick wasn't like that. He was so matter of fact, straight ahead, that it was unbelievable. And then we had the guy we could always go to when Mick wasn't, answering his door, would be Ian Evans. And Ian Evans was such an amazing number 2 coach.
Yeah, I've heard that so many times from so many of the ex-players that Ian Evans was a real big, called him Taft, didn't they? He's a real big part.
That's right.
I've heard Mick say that as well. He's been on our show, but I've heard him say that on other podcasts that Taft was integral to the calls.
That's right. He was amazing. He would take us out and we'd work on finishing drills, and it was just repetitive finishing. But he was always telling you little things. And now here I am at 27. I've played 85 times for the national team. I've scored 21 goals, against countries. And Ian Evans is telling me, do this and then get off his outside shoulder. And if you do that, he'll start looking for you. You can cut him either way. I mean, stuff like that is like advice. Imagine being 27 and just learning that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. You probably thought, I scored all these goals for my country, but you didn't realise how much you could still learn from being with a different coach at that age.
Absolutely. And the training sessions were were very intense, and everyone was rooting for each other. I mean, it was a team atmosphere. I mean, there was some obviously the hijinks and all the stuff we're going to get to, but I'm telling you, I don't think I've ever been on a better team. The national team, man. You're afraid to talk to people or create relationships because like everyone's trying to get each other's job, but it wasn't wall because Mick was a very good communicator, master communicator of what he wanted.
Brilliant. And sorry, I took you away there from your debut, your goal. 2-1 win at Stoke. I think Ian Bogey got the first. I think he was actually trying to cut it back to you, Ian Bogey, when I watched it earlier again. And it sort of, the goalkeeper got something on it, went in. They got a freak equaliser. Tony McCarthy lobbed Casey Keller for some reason. Oh. and then you pop up. And it's a really, really tidy finish, your winner.
I appreciate that. It was I just had to slide through off somebody. It's exactly. I came off the shoulder, and then it was coming at me kind of quick, and so I had to kind of slice it into the other side. And Mick on the coach home, he was just saying like, "This is amazing." Bruce Murray just scored this, but we're going to call this goal the Shank from the Yank, is what he called it.
I think we've just found our show headline there, our title, the Shank from the Yank. That's brilliant.
And Ian Dawes, I'll never forget. What an incredible teammate Ian Dawes was. He was telling me that one of his mates put I don't know 100 pounds on me at 33-1.
Well, I can tell you, I know for a fact that Ian Dawes' children, they're adults. They watch the show, so they'll be buzzing. I'm sure they'll pass that on. 33-1.
It was 2-1. It was 2-1.
No, sorry, the odds on Dawes' on your bet. The Dawes'
I believe he told me it was 33-1 because I don't think the bookies knew who I was.
I'll tell you what, that's compliment to you though, because Ian Dawes must have gone back to his mate and gone, I tell you what, this new geezer no one knows about. He's all right. He could score here.
No,
Lump on it.
That's what happened. Yeah. Yeah. Happened.
And then obviously after the Stoke game, the Shank for the Yanks, so that's making me laugh. The next game was at home to the first home game in the league competitive game at the Den. We lost 4-1 to Southend. Did you play in that game?
I did. I played up front with John. I actually laid a goal on for him. I flicked it through, and he scored. I think it was the first goal of the game. I want to say we went up, but they had a good team, and we got beat. We played poorly. We didn't put any passes together, but yeah, it was disappointing. And then I think we went on to Wolverhampton. And that was really, I mean, they had Steve Bull, and Steve Bull was scoring goals for fun, as you know, back then.
Yeah, Jesus, he was scoring up 40 a season, wasn't he? Like that.
Oh, yeah. So it was interesting. And then we got into, I think, some other games, and then we had league play or cup play. I don't know if it was the Carabao. It wasn't like I can't remember what they called it. There was we played Watford anyway.
Yeah. This is what I watched this earlier.
And
take it away. What a game!
That was a game, and I do hold a history place in the history books in England. I'm the only player that's ever scored on his cup debut and got thrown out in the same game.
So I'm pretty sure I was at this game. When I looked up earlier, he scored 3 goals for Millwall. Scored 1 at Forest, the one we've already covered at Stoke, and in this game. And I looked back and I thought 4-3. What a game, League Cup. The second I put it on, I didn't remember your goal or even the sending off. I remembered ET scoring in the rain last minute and the slide on his bum up right into the corner. But the game, I mean, I'm going to put the link in for people that want to watch it after. It's only 6 minutes long, the highlights, but we played Watford actually previously to that in the league, hadn't we? And I think John Goodman has scored a hat-trick against them. And then 3 days later, they come back to the Den under the lights. Horrendous weather. They went 2-0 up. Then they got a player sent off, Paul Furlong.
Yep.
Then we get one back. You equalise, and then it goes. You're sending off. Rhino nearly scores against Casey Keller. Just I'll let you explain it to the night because it goes on and on. It's brilliant highlights.
Yeah, I'll let you know. It was an insane game, and what happened to me is I got a ball in between 2 defenders, and so all 3 are going for it, and I'm upright, and I've got arms out. I'm trying to stay, and so then I go down and I slid. It was a rainy day, and so I
Yeah.
slid into the keeper. I can't remember who was playing keeper for them, but I slid into him because the ball was live. I mean, it wasn't like he had the ball, and I slid into him, and I want to say Holdsworth. I can't remember his first name.
Yeah, David Holdsworth. His brother Dean was a striker, but David Holdsworth, yeah.
I think he was the captain, and
Yeah.
he went to come and grab me and get off the goalkeeper, and he kicked me in the side of the head. It's a little toe poke, and I
Yeah.
rolled around, and I saw red, and I just charged him like I give him the old Zidane headbutt kind of thing. And
That's absolutely flush on the jaw as well. It's brilliant when I watched it earlier.
oh yeah, so like I wasn't having it, right? So I myself, fuck, I've done it to my. We're okay with cursing, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I said I've done it to myself. I'm finished. You know, the manager's he's gonna. That's it. You know. I remember talking to Mick. He asked me how it went down, what happened, and you know you shouldn't do that. And then he said, but you know, I didn't think you had it in you.
I'll be honest, I was surprised because I just remember you. Well, from what I remember of you, it's not loads because I was young and we didn't get told lots, but just look a big, like happy-go-lucky, smiley, and
Yeah.
he takes liberties really because what you said is right. The ball's live, you slide in, and then he comes over and he's like he kicks you in the head, and he's like trying to grab you in the face. You like do an army roll. Looks like you're just trying to get out, and as you get up, you just go crack, and then you get sent off. He gets sent. As he's walking off, he's going.
Yeah.
He's still like that.
I got a solid piece of his grill work. I mean, I don't know how many teams he lost, but it was a solid. Here's the thing that was even so. I mean, I was still steaming when we were up in the players' lounge on the top floor, and I walked past Glenn Roeder, and he's like, you know, wanker or something like that. Glenn Roeder says to me, so I spin around, and I'm like, hey man, you know, go F yourself. And like, I found out later who Glenn Roeder was. And it's like, I'm a nice, I hate conflict. And, you know, here's Glenn Roeder and I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to fight in the players lounge. And, you know, I found out later Glenn Roeder and his history. And I'm like, I felt like such an ass. Like, good.
You just saw red, your head was gone, head loss.
Correct.
So the reason I said you played against Stoke, and then because if I'm honest, if I remember it, I say very young and we didn't get a lot. Your time wasn't that prolific at Mill. However, it actually wasn't bad at all. And when I've looked into it today on Wikipedia, it says that your time. I mean, it's not always right. Wikipedia. Your time at Millwall was hampered by concussions.
Yeah.
Was that one incident? Probably off the David Holdsworth headbutt. Was it
Yeah.
one incident, or was it like a reoccurring thing?
Yeah. So I had a couple in the national team the year before I came over, and concussions, as they know now, they're very long, and you know it takes a long time to get those things you know sorted out, especially if there are serious concussions. And so when I went to Nottingham Forest to play, I just scored the second goal, and it was a 2-1. And then I think one of the rarest artifacts you're ever going to find is Keith Stevens scored a goal.
The back post, it was a good finish as well.
Yeah, it was a great finish. And so clearly Rhino had no idea how to finish, so it must have been a shank or something. But he got it. And but I after that I had to get open on that goal. I had to kind of get my arm around. And Colin Cooper and I were having a real battle the whole game. Colin Cooper, former Millwall.
Yeah, your dog's enjoying the story.
As it happened, I got in front of him. John Goodman dinks it in, and I dive header. You know, it was a good goal, and
yeah,
so
it was a good goal, yeah.
It was a good goal. And then maybe 10 minutes later, I go up for a header, and Colin Cooper full elbow right to the side of the head, and I end up in a hospital in Nottingham. Have no idea. What I will remember is Mick. Bus stop at the hospital, and the players, you know, and I thought that was amazing what he did. But I will also say this: at that game, I was training the day before And I was training. I was kind of out of favor because now all the other guys were healthy, and I was training kind of with the Tom Wally and the young kids.
Yeah.
Five and somebody else, But anyway, I get word from Tom Wally. I got to go in and see the manager. So I go in, and he said, "How you feeling?" I said, "Good." And he said, "Well," he said, "so and so's injured, and I'm taking you to the game." I'm like, Jesus. So I had to go home, get my stuff, and I came back, and we're probably I don't know, an hour from the hotel that we were going to stay in for the day because we didn't go the night before, and he says, "How are you feeling?" I said, I feel good, man." And he said, "Well, okay." He says, "You're going to go slot right in the center of the park, in the midfield, not up top, but you're in the center of the park." And here I am, like thinking I've been in the stiffs now for 3 weeks, and so the thing about football in England, the thing about playing at a high level, you got to be ready for your opportunity. And so I was ready. And obviously I had success that game, but it's a great learning lesson for all those young footballers that watch your show, is that you don't give up. You always keep going, and if you're good enough, you'll get your opportunity.
Mm. So that concussion, how long did the original one not keep you out for after the Nottingham Forest game?
So I played the game the next week. They want me in the starting lineup, and our physio cleared me, and I wasn't right. I was not right. I went to the grocery store that week, and it's like Sainsbury's, and I walked in, and this is I'm not soft. I can be pretty hard, but I was crying. I was in the store, and I didn't know where I was and why I was there. And
Oh.
yeah, I walked in, and I sat there, and somebody's like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, I don't know why I'm here." And so I had taken the bus up from my flat. So that's when I knew something was wrong. But anyway, I played the first half, and I want to say we played Oxford.
Right.
Oxford, and I missed like a sitter in the first half, and Mick at halftime said to me, he says, "You don't look right. You don't look right. We're going to pull you." So that's when I was out. They ruled me out for at least 4 weeks. But that was a rough day for me because I've never had anything like that happen to me. So I knew then, that there's something real about this concussion stuff, and you got to be careful. So.
I mean, in this day and age now, obviously, they're really, really careful because of what's happened to footballers previously back in the day. So hopefully it hasn't left any everlasting.
Yeah, not just that, Dan, but like in training, we didn't know any better, but they would fire balls in there, and you would, at 70 miles an hour, and you try to get your head on it, and then you go to the back of the line, and the guys in the line were like, "Hey man, are you okay?" And you're like, "I think I am," but you were playing with those plastic miter balls in training, and there's a lot of guys that were woozy, after a finishing session when they're firing crosses in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that after that first concussion, did you get others, or was it just like sort of reoccurrence of that same one?
No, it was kind of a reoccurrence of the same one. So and then I kind of fell out at that point, because of that, and it is what it is. We had a lot of guys. I mean, we brought in
Mm.
Clive Allen at that point, so now we had like 5 or 6 strikers, and that was good because we worked as a group. We all liked each other, so that but we were all pushing for places and everything. But I again, concussion was a big part of my. I played 12 games, scored 3 goals. I mean, that's a pretty good number.
Yes, bad at all. Especially like we've got it now with a player called Mihajlo Ivanovic. He come over and
Yeah,
he scored 12 goals in his first season. We wasn't expecting a lot from him. He hasn't scored this season because it's difficult to make that transition, isn't it? To come over and fit
it
into
is.
the lifestyle and different type of football.
That's what I talk about. I mean,
Mm.
football is thinking, what's going to happen 3 plays down the line, and that you have to you need a full season to get acclimated in the championship. I mean, I don't care who you are. It is 1,000 miles an hour, and back then it was really fast.
Quite really physical as well. Because obviously the game's changing, so they're trying to take it all out now. But some of the tackles, funny, even that Watford game earlier, I was like, wow. People go to prisons now for tackles that went on back then.
Well, I'll give you one that could have been a prison tackle was Ben Thatcher when he was playing for, and did. And John Curr will tell you that Ben Thatcher did that to him every training session. John would get fit after an ankle injury, and Ben Thatcher would make sure he had another ankle injury. I mean, Thatcher, I'll never. I mean, training, he was the guy. Even Terry Herlock. I mean, everyone knows El Tel. I wasn't so worried about him. I was worried because Ben Thatcher was a wild man. Terry Herlock wasn't going to hurt anybody. You know what I mean? In training.
Yeah. I mean, you had obviously Pat Van Den Hal, Gavin Maguire as well, Rhino. What was it like training with those boys day in, day out?
Proper axe murderers here. These guys are they're the worst of the worst. Yet off the field, they're all, they'd all cry at a Disney movie. You know what I
mean? Once they cross that white line, they're just different animal.
They are, yeah.
What was it like the training? Like, can you give us any examples of like crazy things that happened at the training ground, or like I hear the five-a-sides and the training games on a Friday were like really intense and full on as well.
There's like a big fence, and the field, it was like 30 by 30. It was five-a-side, and it was so intense. And the pitch was better than Wembley. I mean, they made this one part of the like you never could use it until and only for five-a-sides. And there was money on the games. It was there was all kinds of stuff going on. But one of the funniest things I've ever seen, it was insane. It just tells you who we're talking about. And I love him to death to this day, is Gavin Maguire. And we're at training, and he's been injured, and so he's in the train, he's getting treatment, and it's snowing, right? And it's starting to come down a little bit, and all of a sudden, out of the training ground, riding a bicycle naked, is Maguire, and he's riding naked. The problem is we've got schoolgirls going to school across the street.
The old training ground was at Eltham, wasn't it? Yeah, I remember.
It was at New Eltham, backed up to Charlton.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was Casey. Somebody tackled him off the bike. You could not believe. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, it's
Well, a big part, like I said, of the show is I love to find out, just from my own excitement from when this era was as a child. I always ask people, where did you live? Like, what was it like? So obviously, I posted earlier that you're coming on the show, and I showed you that. That was a lovely photo taken at the training ground. You look a little bit like a young David Hasselhoff there.
Oh, that's exactly. They called me Hasselhoff.
Did they?
Nicknames were Pornstar and Hasselhoff.
Why porn star? Because you look like a
hair and everything, and so and it was that was, and that was my nickname.
You actually look like a film star there. Like you got a chiseled jaw, like you got the Barney little leather jacket on, or big leather jacket, because you look like a big. What are you, 6'3"?
Yeah, 6'3", and these other guys, they ruined the picture, of course, but. But Casey, I just to say something about Casey. Casey and his wife were very welcoming. Casey was a national teammate of mine, and I can't even tell you how good he was as a goalkeeper. And I think everyone, I can't even imagine what team he'd be playing for now if he was playing, because he was on a different level. And Brad Friedel was another teammate of mine on the national team. And he had a great career as well. But I got a chance to play with some of these guys. And punters may think the goalkeepers, don't do anything. They work harder than the players in training. I've never seen anybody work harder than Casey and Brad Friedel. So shout out to Casey.
Yeah, he was obviously one of my childhood heroes. Having him on was absolutely brilliant. Now John and now you, it's great. But going back to me posting on social media, he was coming on. We got some feedback, and we got some feedback about where you used to live as well. So someone sent me this at 4:30 this afternoon. Just seen you got Bruce Murray on. He moved in next door to my nan and granddad in Bromley. when he first signed for us. He came round for dinner quite a few times and was a lovely fella. My grandparents were Reg and Joan. Random message on Ho.
Okay. Every time, like I'd play a game, and I would go. I'd come home, and they would have me over for a dinner or a drink. And they were so. And Reg was like a longtime Millwall fan. And it was incredible, like the knowledge that I got from these I don't think elderly, but like grandparently type. It was like a family away from home. I'll never forget my time in the times of going over to Reg and Joan's house for dinner. It was eye opening, and they welcomed me, and it was awesome. In fact, Joan one time said that you were having a bad game, and Reg was defending you from the punters.
Well, leave him alone. He eats my roast turkey. Leave him alone.
Right. That's right.
That's brilliant. So the guy that sent that in said he was 10 years old. So to have you over was brilliant. So he's obviously now, we must be got sort of 2-3 years younger than me. But
Yeah.
what a great little story to find out. And then following on from that, I asked you this one before because everyone knows that Chris Bethel, really well-respected fan and historian.
Yeah.
He posted this on the Facebook. Took them to ice hockey over Leighton. They got on the ice for some shots. I got a bollocking from Mick McCarthy as they weren't insured, and it appeared in the papers the next day. And then there's a little bit of a closer up of you and John.
Yeah, that's John. Yeah. And
can you elaborate on that story from Chris?
The London hockey team, it was a professional team, and they brought me out to skate and try and hit some shots. But I literally look like a deer on ice skates. I mean, I could barely stand up, and it was a real eye opener. Anybody that thinks like hockey is easy are out of their mind. How do you do this on ice skates? So I was just falling all over the place.
When you think about it now, like this sort of stories you get from the 90s football. Imagine that now.
Oh,
your £5 million striker, a couple of strikers just randomly go and you get on the ice and have a go.
I remember leaving the thing, and I'm like, what are they going to do next? Are we going to do a kid's birthday party next week?
It's just determined to seem to injure. So how did that come about? He saw you as American, thought, they might like to go to the ice hockey.
That's it. Yeah. No, it was great, and we thanked him for doing it, and met a lot of people that day, and so yeah, it was Jamie Morley. Jamie used to take us to Stringfellows. It was a big, and Jamie would sit there, and it was champagne. We called him Champagne Jamie. That was his nickname. And
he's an agent now. He's a very successful agent.
I heard that. Yeah, I heard that.
He's probably still getting up. Well, not Stringfellows, but he's probably still out and about, whining and dining, those sort of establishments. Hopefully.
Yeah. Roy Wager. And so I had a national team teammate who was playing at QPR, and Roy Wagerly would call me up and take me out with Pat Van Gaal. Imagine that.
Yeah, I remember Roy Wagerly played for Coventry as well, didn't he? Good player.
Queens Park Rangers, but going out with Pat and Roy Wagerly, man, you're in for a big night.
Pat Van Den Hauwe.
Huh?
Pat Van Den Hauwe.
Oh, Pat Van Den Hauwe. Yeah. So.
Oh, did you go out with him a few nights?
I did. Yeah, he would say, "Hey, Bruce, get in the car, and we're gonna go out, right?" And of course, then I meet all these other guys from QPR and all this stuff, and it was interesting. But John told a story on your podcast. It was when Pat first joined the club, and I remember we talked. We couldn't. Well, there we go. Welcome to my world, Dan. But Pat, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, he said he had just joined the club, signed, and I don't know who we were playing, but he kept yelling at me, "Number 7, stop giving the ball away." So yeah, Darius, can you get the dogs out of here, please? Thanks. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, and because he didn't know my name, so.
Mate, so much from that one season, really, we've not even finished yet. It seems to have been crammed in and really full memories from you. Do you know what I mean, as well?
No, absolutely. I mean, I got a ton out of it, and obviously I would have gotten more out of it if I'd stayed healthy. But I was happy, and I remember when we just dissolved the contract, and I came back to the United States to play, and Mick telling me, remember you scored 3 very important goals at your time, and
Yeah.
playoff promotion that year, and those goals, you add them up as points, and we barely got in. So I think we got in one of the last places. So everyone understands the importance of a goal here and there, and so I'm very happy with just all the people, and man, just going out in London, Leicester Square, people watching. It was just like, I mean, you can't, like, it's the greatest time of my life. I mean, just to be able to go to a country like England with all the history. My parents are Scottish, and then going down to London, seeing all these incredible things, Buckingham Palace. I mean, just it was a dream come true, and but just living that dream was incredible.
So did you only originally get a 1-year contract?
No, I had 2 year. I actually stayed. I trained the whole. I was there. It was actually 2 seasons, but
Oh,
yeah, well, it was the beginning of the second season, and then I left. I think in October or November.
you went on loan to Stockport for a while, didn't you? To try and get fit, or?
Stockport, yeah, I went to Stockport. I played for Danny Bagara, the Argentine.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it seemed like a documentary on him actually about a club he was running.
Games there, and I'll never forget it, and you won't either, because my strike partner was Kevin Francis, 6'9".
Oh yeah, big old lump.
Yeah, he was 6'9", and he scored goals because he knew how to score goals in that environment. But I'll never forget, he was as tall as a NBA basketball player, and we would at Stockport, the field conditions were so bad, couldn't play, so they just throw it. They'd fire it up to Kevin Francis, and everyone would run off him. It was like Fash the Bash back when Wimbledon used to play, and they'd fire it up there, and it would drop somewhere, and the other team would scratch their head saying, "How the hell did we get beat by this mob?"
I see. I'm surprised. Happy to find out you had 2 years. So how did you end up? Because I know you went up to Scotland after that to Ayr for 1 game. How did you end up leaving Millwall? Like, were you contract, or did you walk away from it? Or
at this point, we had Dave Mitchell had come in. We had, I think we had a couple other guys, and we had all these forwards. And I had gotten an offer from Atlanta to come down and play, and then in the A League. So I went to him, and he's like, "Listen, you can stay, but there's really probably no options for you." And he made it. He didn't try and make it. You know how sometimes managers make it tough, and they throw people in the stiffs and make them play because they're act and all that. There was no mucking about with that. I think that's the great thing about Mick McCarthy. For whatever reason, maybe it doesn't suit him well all the time, but
he was just honest. And he said, if you can go and play somewhere else, because you're not really going to play here, go and do it, sort of thing.
I mean, you get people that dance around and BS you and all that, and I've had national team coaches do that, but he's on a different level because he was an ex-player and a real tough nut. He was a hard man, but he was also really fun. And so when I say that, he was telling me about him and Taft had come to South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, after my first year, and he called me into the office. So at this point, I knew I was kind of out in the second season. So we're doing preseason. He calls me into the office, and I'm thinking, oh shit, this, I don't know how this is going to go, because I'm pretty sure he's going to tell me, I want you out of here. And I sat in the chair. He says, what do you know about Shoney's? And if you know, maybe you don't. Shoney's is like a pancake restaurant. Yeah. And so Half and I were in Myrtle Beach. We played 3 weeks of golf, and he says, we had a Shoney's right down the street, and it's a buffet, and you can eat all you can eat. And he says, we just ate once a day. Have you ever been? It's magic.
You was like, thought I'm going to have a serious chat about my future, and you're asking me about a buffet restaurant.
He's talking about a buffet restaurant, and Tap in like, hey, you think Shoney's would work over here? And so,
Oh, he's thinking about doing a franchise.
and I literally, they're like, okay, all right, F off back to the pitch. And then it was just like, get out of here. They just wanted to confirm that Shoney's was the greatest buffet in the history of the planet. And I walked out I think he asked me, you know, what was that? And I'm like, I have no idea.
Oh, it's brilliant, mate. So eventually, obviously, you returned home. You ever been back to the Den or Millwall since?
I have not obviously been back to the UK, but I have not. I would love to go back. John told me that he's been back a couple of times. My oldest son went with a group of his workmates, and they went to the Den during COVID. And he said he mentioned my name, and they gave him VIP treatment. They took him everywhere.
Oh, brilliant.
They got him in the club shop. There's a special family atmosphere, and all the firm stuff and and the fighting, that's secondary. The base, the fan base is the hearts are as big for this club. I don't think you can have better fans. And I everybody here is like, oh, Millwall, they're fighting and everything, and I'm like, it's not like that. It's not like that. Yes, there was a time where everybody was fighting, but at the end of the day, has your back. I mean, big time.
Brilliant, mate. So what are you up to these days?
Okay, so yeah, I work for DC United. I do the radio broadcast for our team. Christian Benteke is our striker.
Oh, really?
Having a rough season, so we got a guy named Rene Weiler who's the a Swiss coach that's that. I one too one season at Lucerne. So, but yeah, so we've got to get some things. But that's what I'm doing now. I run a soccer camp in the summer. I have my own camp, and I'm heavily involved in the game. My kids are heavily involved in the game. They're I don't know. I got to tell you, I've never kicked a ball with my kids, and yet they're both like on top teams. So maybe there's something to be said about I guess lineage or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's
See the
better.
genes. See the genes.
Yeah, I stay out of my kids' soccer because I don't or football is it doesn't I feel like it's better for me. One day they'll come to me and ask questions, but I see all these parents, good Lord, man, and I'm sure it's like that in London, screaming on the sidelines at their kids, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was decent as a kid. My dad ruined it for me. Just putting so much pressure on me. Didn't want to.
Yeah, I
was like, nah, it's just too much. It made me stop enjoying football. And I was sort of 14, 15.
Yeah. It's not. You just let your kids play the game, give them the resource, and then let them because you can't manufacture the outcome if your kid's gonna be good or not. Simple as that. Just let them go. Let them do it.
Have a bash. Well, it's always in the show with some same questions. Firstly, if I could fly over tomorrow, right? I'm not coming. Don't worry. I'll send over 3 of your ex-teammates for a week, maybe in Vegas. I'll see the other side of it. Well, anyway, Atlantic City, maybe. I recently watched Boardwalk Empire, so I've gone for Atlantic City. Great show. Anyway, if I could send 3 over on a flight, all expenses paid, and you take them wherever you want, golf, restaurants, nights out, who would you get? Who would you have me send?
Keith Stevens.
Yeah, Keith Stevens. Sorry.
Yeah, and I would have you send Alec Ray just because I know it would all kick off.
And finally, who's the last one?
The last one for me, because we really had a good relationship, was Gavin McGuire.
You've picked 3 heavies there.
I know. I listen. I have to have these guys around me. If it kicks off, I need some guys that are going to be able to handle
Will it tell me a bit about Rhino? Like the most, a very stereotypical Englishman, like wore his heart on his sleeve, big centre half. What was it? Had different, was he cultural wise to you when you went over? Was you a little bit like, whoa? And a few, not just him, a few of the others, but what was he like, Rhino? Do you have any funny encounters with him or?
Oh, I can't. Dan, he was one of the greatest human beings I've ever met. I mean, he was always giving you extra advice or extra help. listen, this is what I do. This is what you do. I'm going to tell you how you can beat me and do stuff in training. He was so helpful, but funny. He was funny. I mean, I don't know if he's from you're Southeast London. I think you're Cockney accent.
Yeah.
So I think Rhino was the same way. But just a good dude, man. Just a good dude to be around, and you knew that when Rhino was around on the field, you're gonna get everything he has. Was he the best player with his feet? No, he wasn't but he was an absolute competitor. He was a competitor at the highest level. He was unbelievable. Yeah.
Brilliant. And what about Alex Ray?
Oh
He doesn't drink anymore, Alex Ray, by the way.
Yeah. No, he doesn't drink anymore.
No.
He is. I mean,
what a player, by the way, as well.
Oh my God, what a talent! And we had fun together because he knew my parents were Scottish. Just a good guy all around. Obviously demons and so forth, but good dude, good dude. The whole, everybody, man. We had, Mark Kennedy. What a great kid he was, by the way. We were in a bar one time in Ireland at preseason, and he was like looking at my jacket, and he's like, "Oh, I wish I could get one of those." And I had a leather jacket on, and I said, "Well, go get a leather jacket." And he goes, "Oh, like I'm only on 75 or 100 pound a week," and I'm thinking to myself, this kid is scoring goals. He must have scored 17 goals my first year, the year I was there, and I don't know what he was on, but it wasn't enough to get him a leather jacket. So I ended up giving him my jacket. I remember that. So.
Oh, nice. And I think, obviously, the third one, Gavin Maguire, I think we've heard the best Gavin Maguire story there. We're sure there's a little else to say on Gav after that one.
Yeah, Gavin was, he had a screw loose, but in a good way. In a good way. He was also very compassionate, very, checking on you all the time. How you doing, bud? How you doing? So, yeah, good guy. So those are my three.
Brilliant. And the final question. What's your standout memory for your time at Millwall, if you can pick one?
Okay. So we had a bunch of foreigners at one point. At the end, we had E.T., we had Dave Mitchell, John Curr, we had left back, an Australian as well. We had a bunch of foreigners. And so, what do I do, right? I'm Johnny Big Boots, and I'm like, I'm going to cook Thanksgiving dinner for all of us. And so, to make a long story short, the turkey blew up in the oven, all fire, and I ended up ordering pizza for everybody. So that was my disastrous memory. But we all ate pizza and we had Thanksgiving together. So I can't tell you, Dan, like this was a very close team, and I don't think I've been on a team this close.
That's brilliant. Listen, Bruce, I really appreciate your time. Really enjoyed it. Been brilliant. Thanks very much, mate.
Me too, mate. Take care.
Thank you, mate. Bye-bye.